the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the Vice President's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that any longer.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay. Another issue, big one, is immigration. As vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask
about... Not only push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. In 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus, and it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes,
in
I
mind?
would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
That was just the start of our wide-ranging conversation, and we have some never-before-shared details about the phone call that changed everything between President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes, this is the interview.
I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President. And her running mate. I asked him about some of the controversies that have sprung up since Harris put him on the ticket.
Okay, this is the interview. Is this better? Can you hear me better?
The country is just starting
to get to know you. This is the interview between
I want to ask
Vice
you a question
President
about
Kamala
how
Harris
you described your
and
service in
Tim
the National
Walz
Guard.
with Dana Bash
You said
on
that you
CNN.
carried weapons in war, but
Now,
you
I'm going
have
to-
never deployed actually
I'm also going
in
to play
a war
the
zone.
interview.
A campaign
when we get the
official
video.
said that you
Can't play the
misspoke.
video
Did you?
right now. Copyright restriction. But we can listen to it, and that's what we're listening to right now. We're listening to that interview, and the interview is going just like I expected. But at the end of the day, like the fracking thing, I don't know what you were talking about, Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't do anything. Just stop. Don't make me make a whole video addressing you. But this is the thing. They say fracking isn't green.
My
Fracking
moderate to
is not.
severe plaque
But
psoriasis
we
held me
cannot
back.
act like
Now with
we
Skyrizi,
don't
I'm all
live in
in
a
with clear
world
skin. Things are getting
where
clearer.
there must be plans. And this is what the plan is about. And you all act like no one has ever changed a position in their life on politics as they learn and as they grow.
With Skyrizi,
But at
3
the
out
end
of 4
of the
people
day-
achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
She told you, when she said
And
her
most
core
people were
values
clearer
have
even at 5
changed,
years.
that doesn't mean that
Skyrizi
she
is
hasn't
just
come
4
up with a
doses a
new way
year
to,
after 2 starter doses.
Serious
achieve
allergic
a goal.
reactions and an increased risk of infections.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Don? We good? We good? I don't know what the issue is. Yeah, but we'll have it cleared up. We're going to, but when we're listening to the audio, it drowns you out. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, this is CNN. This is the interview. They're on commercial break right now.
Or a lower ability to fight them may occur.
So we're
Tell your
gonna get
doctor
back
if you have
to
an
it
infection or
as
symptoms,
soon as
had a
it comes off
vaccine, or
commercial
plan to.
break. All right? And of course, it's spotty because it's not translating well from the television to. But since it's the only place we can watch it, because I could put up the video that I have, but it's black because it's directed to CNN. CNN has not shared it. You all remember when I told you the first person to get the interview would not care about if anybody else got it.
Ask your
after
doctor
that.
about Skyrizi.
So CNN
the
will be
number
like,
one dermatologist
they got
prescribed
the interview.
biologic in psoriasis.
And
Learn how AbbVie
policy?
could help you save.
What policy? Until you get actively able to make
Rory
the
never
changes
thought
that
she
you
would
need to
live out
make.
her
And I don't
dream.
think people understand
And one day,
that the
she
presidency
did.
is just one part
You were made to
of our
chase your
government.
passions.
They're
We were made to
co-equal
put them
parts.
in a package.
And so,
When you want something, you pursue it. And with vitiligo, the pursuit for your
Yeah.
pigment is just the same.
so
It's
we're
time
going
you
to,
found a
like I said,
proven
I wanted
choice
to get
help
it listened
restore
to,
what's
so you all
yours.
can listen to it in case
Opzelura
somebody didn't have
is the first and
CNN
only
or somebody wasn't able to
FDA-approved
listen to it
prescription
live. I
treatment for
want to bring it to you
non-segmental
live now
vitiligo,
so you can hear
proven
it.
to help
And then we'll
repigment
go back
skin
later.
over
We're going to
time,
come back at 10 o'clock
restoring
Central
what's
Standard Time.
yours.
Hopefully
It
I'll have
really
the video
is
then that I
possible.
can share.
With a steroid-free
And we'll break it
cream
down.
that you
We'll
can
go back
apply
through it and
yourself.
break it down also.
Opzelura can lower your ability to fight
And any
infections,
questions?
including TB or hepatitis
We can hear
B
you,
or C.
but when you're listening
Serious lung
to the audio, it
infections,
drowns
skin
you out.
cancer,
Yeah,
blood clots,
I
and
know
red blood
because,
cell
like I said,
counts
I'm
occurred with
hooking the
Opzelura.
audio up to
In
do it
people
this
taking
way
JAK inhibitors,
because
serious
it's coming
infections,
live
increased
from
risk of death, lymphoma,
CNN.
other cancers, and major cardiovascular
But they usually
events
release
have
the
occurred.
video.
The most
I
common
was
side
surprised
effects
that
were acne and
CNN
itching
didn't
where
release the
applied.
video or play it on their
Repigmentation is
TikTok or
possible.
one of their other
Ask
social
your
media.
dermatologist today about starting or refilling.
Y'all hear a commercial playing in the
Opzelura.
background?
Pursue it.
I love that my daughter still needs me.
Yeah,
But
they're on
sometimes I
commercial
can't help
break.
due to burning and stabbing pain
They're
in
on
my
commercial
hands.
break,
So
and I
use
want to be able to
Nervive.
hear it so I can
Nervive's
click
clinical
back
dose
over.
of ALA reduces nerve discomfort
Is it
in as
is
little
it loud?
as 14 days.
Is
Now I
it
can
is
help
commercial
again.
loud?
Feel the difference with Nervive.
I'm getting vaccinated.
Well, I
Pfizer's
think it's
pneumococcal
only
pneumonia
going to be
vaccine.
like basically an hour interview.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
Is that better? Is the primary sound? Okay. Is that better? If I just turn off the sound until they come back on? Am I clear? Okay. I'll just keep an eye on it. I was listening to it to go back, but I'll just keep an eye on it so we don't miss anything. Greetings and salutations, everybody who's joining me. We are listening to the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz interview with Dana Bash that is exclusively on CNN. And we don't have the video because they're not releasing video. They have a block on the video, and they didn't share it to any other social media. And I didn't want to set up a camera to point at my television. Yeah, we'll just have to. So steal the snack when you're not looking. Got it. Yeah, you're not getting any of these snacks. Plus, Crumb Snatcher, Big Crumb Snatcher cooked chicken and rice today. And I'm gonna be chicken and rice, chicken over rice all day. That's my plan. Yes, Dana interviewed JD, and we're back. All right, hold on.
In Philadelphia. And when I say meet, I mean literally meet. Would you believe they have never talked face to face? The only time they've even been in the same room was when Harris was a senator watching Trump's State of the Union address. Now it's Trump watching Harris on the campaign trail with money and momentum behind her and making her case directly to voters.
As voters are getting to know Kamala Harris, they want answers on how she will make their lives better. She heard that here at Sandfly Barbecue in Savannah.
What we're going to do to increase access to capital for small businesses, I'll be rolling out next week. Part of what we're going to be doing in terms of a tax credit.
On the trail, she talks about her experience, years in the courtroom as a district attorney and eventually California's attorney general. She wants to reframe the contest as the prosecutor versus the felon.
I know Donald Trump's type. I've been dealing with them my whole career.
The former president is turning to a well-defined playbook of personal attacks.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
And in just 12 days, the nominees will meet face-to-face for the first time.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
If you've got something to say, say it to my face.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
Same old tired
That's it?
playbook.
That's
Next
it?
question,
Okay.
please.
Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
And in the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8 to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution, where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
One other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
This was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Up next, the moment that changed everything when Kamala Harris.
Break. Now, y'all can't hear it in the background commercials, right? Yeah, we're playing all of it. Like I say, later, when they release the whole video, I will play it in the 10 o'clock hour, and we will chop it up even more then. But, yeah, I don't care about the IVF statement. He used in vitro, he used a different form than IVF. Most people don't know the difference between IVF and what he used. They consider them all the same. They're all still reproductive aids. So I don't really care. That doesn't. And he did answer the question about misspeaking. He just rushed over it. Told his wife, the English teacher told him he had misspoke. But that story takes on a life of its own anyway, because he did carry a weapon of war. He just didn't carry it in war. I'm not going to mince those words. 24 years of service is 24 years of service. And I'm not really listening to anybody talk about what he said, unless you have served 24 years in service, unless you went in after 9/11 because you want to serve your country. As someone who's been in the military, I really don't take constructive criticism from people who've constructed nothing. If you're in the same breath, you're not talking about the fact that this man has an honorable discharge of 24 years of service, and Donald Trump avoided service by getting a doctor to write an excuse for bone spurs. You have to put this kind of, I really wish you all would understand that if you had a chance for perfect, y'all didn't take it when you were born, and we're at this point. This is not a conversation about anything but what is better going forward. And I told somebody else this. As the person on the ground, because a lot of people talk about being on the ground and they in the fight. No, y'all are not. Y'all just sit on the sideline. But as a person on the ground, if you all make this a harder battle for us on November the 5th going forward, I won't forget it. I won't forget it. You're talking about the standard. No politician is ever going to be perfect because we don't require perfection. You all have 69 days, I believe, to make up your mind. 69 days. And you remember I told you this discussion would not be about policy? I told you all that there is no policy to talk about. Donald Trump comes out today and says he's going to offer free IVF treatment to every couple that wants to engage, that wants to use it, on the mandated for your insurance company or mandated by the government. But nobody asked him where the hell you coming up with that money at. But Kamala Harris talks about trying to get $25,000 for first homeowners to offset the price of being able to put a down payment on a home and building 3 million homes. And you all want page by page on how they're going to do that. Yeah, that would be easier than trying to pay for couples that want IVF treatment to have children. Do y'all know how expensive that is? But nobody asked him how he's going to do it. He just said it. He just said it. And you all are here. I told you this conversation was not going to be about policy because we're just saying, what's your policy on fracking? Not fracking. What is it? It's either frack or don't frack. All right? You can like it or not like it. But at the end of the day, I told you all. I would not have, people better be lucky I'm not campaign advisor. I would have told them, don't do a campaign, let the debate speak for itself, because the people have heard what they want to know. At this time, I still say that most of the people doing the talking about policy can't spell policy, and they never held white men to the same standard. They still don't hold white men to the same standard. If you look at the election of Barack Obama and the running of Kamala Harris right now, the stark contrast to racism and the added fact of misogyny or menage a noir in this conversation is stunning. It is stunning to me. Trump just said anything. Right. Trump walks out and gives a press conference and gives 162 lies about facts that are Googled. And y'all act like it's all right. All right.
Nominees, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. It's hard to believe it was just 39 days ago President Biden shocked the world via tweet. That's how we found out he was dropping his re-election bid. But before he tweeted the news, Biden called his vice president. And for the first time, we are hearing.
Before we get to that, we can stop sending money to Ukraine. Talk to Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, pushed through the deal to send $60 million to Ukraine, $27 million to Israel, and another, $16 billion to Taiwan? Yeah.
You insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
And he was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you.
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest. I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
A passionate defense of the man who chose her to be his running mate 4 years ago. 4 years later, Harris made a choice of her own. And with Governor Walz's rise to national prominence, a star was born at the convention, Gus Walz. We'll hear about that moment between father and son and the woman who could make history in the Oval Office on this iconic photo.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? My bad. There we go. All right. Yeah, I was trying to make sure that it didn't interfere with the background. But banned, what's his name in here? Banned by TikTok. You talk about government like you don't know how it works. You all act like Israel just became Israel overnight or on October the 7th. You act like the United States Congress does not control the purse strings of the government. You act like Mike Johnson did not push through a bill that gave $95 billion in weapons reserve. And you don't know, I realize also, you all don't really know how weapons bills work. And I think Penelope tried to explain it to you all. But yeah, this isn't money. This isn't real money. We use the real money to resupply our weapons that we give away. The United States is the largest arms dealer in the world, hands down. And when you say we need to start charging people to protect them, we do. You just don't, you see it in resources that we allowed access to. You see how we have done every colonized place. People thought colonization stopped in 1865. Colonization, yeah, thank you, Tracy, thank you. Yeah, thank you for showing me how much you appreciate it. But this is the thing, right? Y'all act like colonization and the exchange of services don't work. We have misused. How do you think we don't have an immigration problem in this country? We have a foreign policy problem in South America and Central America. We shouldn't be sending anything. Well, that's what they signed up to be. Go back and tell Theodore Roosevelt. Go back and tell Eisenhower. Go back and tell all of them that said basically walk softly but carry a big stick. We set ourselves up to be the world police. We also, you don't understand the art of war. The best defense is a good offense. And part of an offense is to make sure you destabilize all your possible enemies and then you keep them destabilized. Yeah. But say, you act like this is going to be solved with one idea or one policy because you don't understand how you got here or what we've been fighting for ever since I've been born and before. And now, this is what I'm saying. You all have voted for the lesser of two evils for decades. But now that there's a black woman that's the lesser of two evils, all of a sudden, you basically want her to walk on water. You want her to walk on water. That's the misogyny I talk about, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a contrast and comparison to two candidates. I hate to, if you don't understand that, there's no third-party candidate that's going to win this. You know, third-party candidate is not falling out the sky in the next 60 days and going to win 270 electoral college votes. It's not going to happen. So I understand some of you all live in that idealistic world of principles that I find most white liberals and progressives live in, that is so unreflective of the real world we live in. That's why you all have never solved any problem that we have actually had, because you talk about the world we should live in, when people on the ground are talking about the world we actually live in, and we're trying to navigate this in the way to make change that... How lucky Dana Bash just came back.
Experts, a big name, a prominent leader from a swing state, Pennsylvania or Arizona. But it is a little-known guy outside of his home state, where Minnesota nice is a source of pride. But behind all of that folksy humor and flannel, Tim Walz is far from just being Mr. Nice Guy when it comes to needling Donald Trump. Governor, you obviously have spoken to voters all over your state for years.
Yeah.
What are you learning in a place like Georgia?
We're seeing explosion in small business growth. The one thing is workforce and childcare, because workers have to have childcare.
Campaigning with Tim Walz,
Don't do it.
finding his role in this historic campaign.
Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
After bursting onto the national stage with this word.
These guys are just weird.
Known as a folksy father of two from rural America, now a running mate who is not holding back.
Listen to the guy. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter and shocking sharks and just whatever crazy thing pops into his mind.
And finding his own rhythm with his new boss.
What'd you order? Brisket and greens and mac and cheese.
What about you?
I had the brisket and coleslaw on this.
And what about the spice situation, the Tabasco? What's happening with that?
I'm going to let him speak for himself.
The Vice President's growing peppers at her residence, so she's trying to bring me along on this. You know, Minnesotans.
It's okay.
I'm getting there.
It's all good. You just do you.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him, I'm proud of Hope, I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is, talking about the era we're in, is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking,
Y'all know the photograph
one of
you're
your
talking about,
grandnieces
right?
that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment, for all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking. And it's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
She gave you your hot takes?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Uh-huh.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank you,
us.
Dana. Thank you.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Now, I'm ready. I'm ready. I was going to stop right then and come back at 10 o'clock. I'm going to stop before and look forward so we can have it at 10 o'clock. But who wants to fight? Who wanted to fight in the comment section? Because at the end of the day, who wants to fight? I want you to go get your videos first before you want to fight with me and show you the work I do compared to the work you do. Yeah, and while also trying to make a living. I want you to show me, because we're looking at a man that just violated federal law by going to Arlington Cemetery and making a campaign video out of the pain and suffering of families. Then exposing another person's son that they didn't have permission to be there with to utilize. And you all want to talk about somebody misspeaking about carrying a weapon of war, carrying a weapon in war? No, I don't know what y'all, but I want to know some military person that doesn't tell me that every day they were in the military, they were at war. Every day is a war, because you never know. When you get called up, you're called up. It's like being on call for the hospital. Yeah, any time an accident happens, you gone. But you all are not looking at the contracts. Like I say, you all want her to be a candidate that you're not asking Donald Trump to be, or any other white man that's had this office. I made a whole video pointing out the fact that when did Ronald Reagan ever talk about Reaganomics before he was elected? Where? Donald Trump promised you he was going to get Mexico to play for a wall. That was his policy. When did it happen? When did more than 27, what is it? I think it's 47. I think it was 27, 47 miles of new wall built since 2016 that Mexico is going to pay for? So that's what I don't understand. When did Joe Biden talk about the Inflation Reduction and Recovery Act of 2022 when he was running for president? When did that policy come up? And it's amazing to me that you say things like, "Oh, she don't have any policy. What has she done since she's been vice president?" Literally, she's done exactly what a vice president is supposed to do: be an understudy. Tell me one policy that Mike Pence implemented while he was vice president. Tell me, I'm listening. What policy did he do? If he was going to run for president in the same situation as Kamala Harris finds herself in now with Donald Trump, what policies would you all be pointing to that he had implemented? Right, Sandy. That's on my main page. I talk about that. Talk about he just rebranded. He rebranded the Affordable Health Care and stopped calling it the Obamacare. That's what their big plan. 2017, he was talking about coming out with a health care plan that was better than Obamacare, and all they did was rebrand Obamacare and go back to calling the name it was originally made, the Affordable Health Care Act. Minimum wage was supposed to go up to $15, federal minimum wage, and he comes out and makes a statement, "Well, I just want to leave it up to the states." The states are not in charge of federal minimum wage. So when you all talk about policy, don't worry, at 10 o'clock, we really going to get loose. I'm going to get loose when I get on the radio, but I want you all to spell policy. Because what do you all hear besides, "This is what I want to do"? This is what I want to do. Policy requires you to get with economic experts and market experts and do all kinds of studies and sit down and talk about how do we implement it. It's enough to understand, and two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. Our country needed infrastructure all during 2016 and never got done. Then when we get an infrastructure bill, people are like, oh, we have to pay more in taxes and do this. But you all never complained about, and then don't talk to me about the tax cuts for the middle class that Donald Trump is supposed to present. Because explain to me why those tax cuts were not permanent, like the tax cuts for corporate America and rich people. Anybody want to make it make sense? I can't even imagine Trump sitting down for an interview remotely like that. I can't imagine. Trump does press conferences, calls them press conferences, does not answer questions of the press, and keeps talking. And people are going around here like Stephen A. Smith talking about Kamala Harris is hiding. Kamala Harris has been to 22 states doing election rallies. And then to say that she was hiding from the press, she did 80 interviews this year alone before this even happened. And how many, do you all really follow elections? In your lifetime, you really followed an election enough to know that somebody declaring their candidacy and within 30 days, they just gave multiple news interviews before that. Because I know y'all think it's been longer, but it's only been that long. Some of you all can't get together and talk to the woman man you live with in 30 days, but you want people to come out here and talk to the media and have all the T's dotted and I's, all the T's crossed and dotted I's, but you still want to criticize. Now it's like you got the policy, now you don't like it. You just asked for one. What policy has withstood being actually elected? Because if you don't elect the people that are able to assist in these policies, then they don't matter anyway. They don't matter. I want y'all to stop playing in our faces. Stop all this tired old excuses. Well, I don't know if I like this policy. You don't know a policy. It's not rooted in policy. Just stop that. None of this is rooted in policy. Kamala Harris is the most experienced person to ever serve as vice president. And you're like, oh, she don't have the experience to be president. What kind of experience Donald Trump had before he was president? And then he was still a horrible president. Kamala Harris has worked her whole life in elected positions, from the district attorney's office to the attorney general of California to the Senate to the vice president. Think I'll give one of the Bushes that was governor of Texas some credit, but what other person in the modern era has as much experience at public office to run for president than Kamala Harris? I could name three, and John McCain is one of them. John McCain was one of them. So what's up? I'm waiting. How long do I got to wait? Her resume is strong compared to failures. Look, her resume is strong, period. Period. No, we don't even have to compare it. It's strong, period. At the end of the day, none of these people can concisely put into any, when you compare and contrast, because that's what this election is about, but I guess I need to save something for the 10 o'clock hour. But when you compare and compare this election, it comes down to, are you voting for the man who has lied at every turn, or you're going to vote for somebody that at least has our best interest? Trump doesn't even know law. Is that what he's... Wait, look, how is the law and order... And where my veterans at? Where my veterans at that are okay? Donald Trump still has that video up on his TikTok page. Where are my veterans at that are going to sit idly by and see when the Army comes out and acknowledges that Trump's staff members abused and harassed and physically assaulted an Arlington Cemetery worker? Always talking about how hollow that ground is. But you all watch this man denigrate. And then going to say, well, the family invited him there. The family invited him there, but the family cannot give him permission to break federal law. The federal family can't give him permission to break federal law. Well, I mean, I just want to know what planet we living on now. What planet? Where you at? What's his name? Bands of TikTok. Where you at? Did he leave? Did he leave? He, JD Van said he didn't film a video the whole ass. The video is on TikTok. The whole last time. The whole time. He acknowledged bringing a photographer. He acknowledged it. I'm going to tell you, this is what gets me though. Even if the woman that they pushed, didn't want to file charges, it is a federal offense. Where are the charges? Where are the charges? I just made a video of Nancy Mace talking about she's voting for Trump because as a SAG assault survivor, she wants somebody who protects women. She literally said that in the face that E. Jean Carroll exists. I went back and watched E. Jean Carroll's interview from 2019 with Anderson Cooper, and I'm like, how does a woman say anything like that in support of Trump? How does a woman who Trump goes on Howard Stern and brags to that he owns the Miss Teen USA pageant and he gets to see half-dressed girls all the time? How does somebody say protect women that Access Hollywood tape? We're just going to speed past that. We're just going to speed past. We're going to speed past the fact you're talking about a man that cheated on each of his previous wives with his next wife. We're going to speed past. Like I said, before these Trump supporters don't do research, just talk. They don't even. You should do some research to talk. Oh, hold on. Wait. As a soldier, this sickens me. Right. And they were talking about Kamala Harris saluted a Marine, and she didn't. She's not the commander in chief, and she didn't need to salute him. Why did she salute him? Really? Really? That's it? That's it? That's what y'all want to talk about? But you don't want to talk about what happened at Arlington Cemetery? Are we for real? What's up, Cam? Banned. What? I missed something. Hold on. Banned by TikTok was muted for no legitimate reason. Well, I suppose he can hear me. Because one thing that doesn't happen here, my moderators are never wrong. So they're never wrong. I'm not one of those lives where I'm be like, I can't believe my moderator did that. Now my moderators know not to like mute grandmother or somebody, but all other stuff, yeah, I'm sure they had a legitimate reason, and they don't even have to explain it to me because my moderators have been with me that long. What's up, Queen Shawnee? So I'm sure it was a legitimate reason, and that's the end of that. Because I saw him in here, so he must have been in here long enough for them to assess the fact that maybe there was a reason. So, yeah, y'all need a break, and now he's back on another account. Yeah, that's up moderators. Like I say, I'm going to go look for and see so if I can download the whole interview, and I'll come back. I think if it's in entirety, without the breaks, it's only like 35, 40 minutes. We're going to come back. We're going to play it for the radio audience because we got people in different countries that haven't got to hear it. And we're going to give commentary and stretch it out because there's so much commentary I want to talk about and so many things that, can you see Bella before you go? Where you at? Come on, girl. See right behind me for some reason. Yeah, they want to see you. Hey. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go, girl. She was right behind me. She was right behind me. Hey, that's my baby. Yeah. She think I'm gonna run off somewhere without her, right? But all right, we'll be back at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, about 54 minutes. I'll try to be on time, but you know I'm black, right? You know I'm black. And this is not a live event. Yeah, I'll be looking for the video, so I'll have to start it on time. But I will be back about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm going to see if I can find the video. If not, we're just going to pick up in the conversation. But I think they'll be ready to release it. They should release it as soon as they finished it, right? So, yeah, I'm black. I'm proud, black, and I'm proud, and I'm late. Yeah, yeah. And if you're black, you know how it works. People of color even know how it works. Something always comes up at the last minute, and then the crumb snatchers are here. So I got crumb snatchers also. So I call MAGA the party of pedos. Not only that, it's like, yeah, yeah. If that was only the case, we could just, run them up into, but they're the party of everything that is, they accuse other people of being divisive, but they show their divisive nature. Listen to them argue. Like I say, go check out my Nancy Mace. She's a representative from South Carolina. Go check out the video on my main page and meet me back here or on my social medias